Hello everyone, welcome back to another Friday and another casual champion review. It's Skarner time. This might be one of the last games I ever play with old Skarner, which is weird to think because most of the reworks that have happened to League Champions in the past many years have been for champions that I don't tend to play that often. Or I've played semi-regularly like Udyr or Fiddlesticks or Pantheon, whoever, but Skarner, that's one of my main guys. That's like, he's very, very close to being in the top 10 of my highest mastery champions. And I would say I do probably like Skarner over Nasus. Mostly because I just find it funny to main the character as useless as this. You know what isn't useless though? Fan art section. Look at them Skranners. Look at the Scorpion boys. Very happy. Look at some of these are just so... it makes me a little sad. I will, as much as I advocate for VGUs, it does make me a little sad. We are going to lose our purple Scorpion Crystal Man, but I'm excited for the future that's unfolding, and I'll get into that a bit later. But thank you, fellas, for all the people who do fan art section. You're awesome, you're amazing, you're wonderful. Thank you. All right, so I did kind of mention this last week that whenever VGUs come out, as opposed to doing new champions, where I will do a casual champion review for the new champion the week that they are revealed, for VGUs, instead the week that they're revealed, I want to do the old version, which this will not happen very often because right never VGUs champions. So I'd like to go as like a final memoriam, I guess, as like my last little playthrough as the old version of this character and how they felt, and talk about their old version before I get to the new one, which I do plan to still make a full video on the Skarner rework, but I haven't gotten started yet because Riot keeps changing things. They keep changing his ability ratios, what they even do. His bio isn't even out yet, which makes it very difficult to talk about his lore. So I don't know when that Skarner video is coming out. I would like it to have it out the week before he releases, but if not, he might be out a bit later because you can blame Riot for that one. But getting into our old Skarner, he's actually, for a champion who not many people even know about, actually I think most people in League know who Skarner is. He's kind of forgettable, or he's kind of memorable in how unmemorable he is kind of way. But in the old lore, the Brackern existed way back in ancient Shurima, before even the Shuriman Empire existed. And while they seem like primitive beasts, they're actually very social creatures. Each one of them has this little, not so much kind of an organ, but it's the thing called a name stone, and this houses all of their memories, hopes, dreams, personality, everything that makes that Brackern who they are is in that crystal. It's kind of like their brain, except that when that Brackern is on the verge of death, they bury that name stone, and a new younger Brackern will dig up that name stone and put it inside them. Therefore, they are carrying the personalities and hopes and dreams, and most importantly, the knowledge of the previous generation. I think it's kind of a neat way for a race of creatures that obviously would not be able to write anything down, that it's a neat way for them, like, well, yeah, they're very interconnected species with each other, that they are always communicating with each other because they're sharing their memories and their hopes and dreams with each other all the time. Hiya, Mumu. Oh, they're using the High Noon Yone skin, I just realized. I gave, I've never felt more conflict within my own self than liking a Yone skin to that degree. That hurt me physically and emotionally to make that, or to record that video, I should say, just like I'm physically and emotionally hurting this man. Mortals that exist at the time knew about the Brackern, and they feared them, mainly for their immense strength and power and size. I mean, they're quite big, about as big as a bus, if I remember correctly. And they can't exactly understand the Brackern. They're able to communicate with them telepathically, but our mushy human brains only hear music and song when they talk to us. Oh, Leona. Don't you know I do no damage? I think, yes. If Ezreal actually hit me instead, I think I'd be dead here. Hi, Ezreal. And the Brackern didn't really care for mortal humans too much. They kind of wanted to just do their own thing. We like being the Brackern. We like being with each other. We don't really care what you guys are doing. You guys are stupid. And especially when the Rune Wars would emerge. And rather than involving themselves in these petty human conflicts, they decided, nah, we'll just wait it out. We're probably powerful enough to fight in this war, but we don't really care. We don't really have a side to pick. So we're just going to bury underground and sleep for the next several thousand years. And while they sleep, they're all harmonized together. They're all still sort of a hive mind in a way, but that hive mind is disrupted when that song turns into a horrible scream, and Skarner awakes, frantically searching around and seeing explosions and his own people dying because the Piltofans are here. So Skarner awakes from his slumber, surfacing and seeing all the thieves destroying his people, and decides, well, I'll destroy you then, and he starts killing all these people. And after all the thieves have been murdered or they ran away, he goes to go check on the people that remain. And unfortunately, the majority of the Brackern were killed. Mike Rubs. The majority of the Brackern were killed. Their Hex Tech crystals, or their name stones, stolen from them, taken by the Piltovans. And the only Brackern that remained were still dormant, kind of. Because they were still semi-conscious when this whole thing happened, they were kind of unable to do anything about it. They're kind of stuck in a dormant state, unable to move. So Skarner is basically the only Brackern left. But then he heard a familiar echo calling out to him. He heard the songs of his comrades, the ones that were stolen by the Piltovans. But instead of this harmonized, beautiful song, it's screaming in terror. They're calling for his help. So he decides to set out after them. But the magic of the name stone starts to fade, and he's no longer able to find them. Yeah, eat shit, a boo-boo. And so because he lost the sound, he's unable to track them. So Skarner's whole mission is to basically go across the desert, try and find his kin. Just gonna wait here for a bit. Hi, Yone. Hey, Yone. You know what rhymes with Yone? Fucking idiot. And for the people who aren't aware, that they don't know the Skarner lore, the name stones are what are considered by Piltovans as the Hex Tech crystals, which powers most of Piltovan society. So Piltover is not metaphorically or poetically or any other kind of fancy way is powered by souls. Whoa, baby. Oh, I hate Yone so much, even if that skin is awesome. And then there's the whole thing with the Crystal Scar, and nobody even cares about the Crystal Scar anymore. It was what Dominion was for, the Dominion game mode, which most people who play League nowadays don't even know what Dominion is. But that's where Skarner's home was. But now it's also a valley that they just paid tribute to the Brackern. I don't know. The whole thing's a mess. Doesn't matter. Dominion is dead, and so is the Crystal Scar, and it won't matter for the rework, so who cares? I mean, I kind of cared. I kind of liked Dominion a little bit. It was fun, okay? It was relaxing. Sometimes you just want the League of Legends experience without having to play Summoner's Rift, okay? Like, that's why people play ARAM. And Arena is so successful. Sometimes just a casual game mode's okay. As for his design, so back in the day, League characters were designed basically by taking two words out of a hat and plastering them together and seeing if they could make something out of it. You know, Armor Bear, Frost Archer, Crystal Scorpion. And that is what Skarner is. And that's about it. The thing is, it's treated as like some super novel thing that's like, oh yeah, crystalline insect, that's crazy. And like, you could do that to anything. It could be a crystal spider, it could be a crystal serpent, it could be a crystal dragon. Like anything made of crystal, I think is going to have the same value. The fact that he's a scorpion really adds nothing, which is why I'm kind of happy with the rework that they're changing him to be more crustacean, mix of a bunch of different arthropods, because he is at the end of the day just kind of a crystal scorpion. That's where it ends. And actually these little void grubs bring up a good point as well, that Skarner has been unfortunately a victim to time, whereas he is a multi-legged monstrous blue and purple creature, but he's not from the void. Even though Shurima is also the place where the void is the most prevalent on Runeterra, and in fact, compared to Rek'Sai, is also a burrowing creature, much like Skarner. The thing that I was happy about with the rework anyway was that they're going to take him into Ishtal, which is a region that desperately needs some champions. Shurima already has plenty, and it removes the confusion. And I was fine that they were going to remove the purple and blue, but you know, I'll get into that. I'll get into the new Skarner once I get into the actual big video. Let's talk about old Skarner. And old Skarner's kind of... he's not that great for what he is. He is a crystal scorpion, but that's it. You just plastered some crystal textures over top of a scorpion. Didn't really do much else, and he doesn't really look very ancient. The Brackern are supposed to be this super ancient race of creatures that have existed since the Hayamumu. Thank you. Since the beginning of Shuriman history. Oh, Amumu, you shouldn't have done that, my friend. I knew you were cursed. And you would never guess in his splash art that he's an actual... Oh, I'm going to die to this, aren't I? Excuse me, Cho'Gath. You would never guess that he's an actual somber, empathetic, smart character, because his splash art especially, that's the first impression you get of any champion. What's the impression you get from that? He's some cave-dwelling demon mob monster from some random RPG from the 90s. He looks so angry as well. There's very few champions who look visibly angry in their splash, but Skarner just looks like, yeah, I'm gonna rip your arms off. He's not very imposing either. He's very goofy looking. This funny little jaw and his stubby little legs. He doesn't look scary, even if though he looks angry in his splash art. Both things they try to do with him to make him this empathetic, sad character doesn't work, and then they try to make him, well, he's a big monster, so let's try and make him look, try and make him look scary. Isn't that right, Cho'Gath? They didn't do that either, so you're kind of just stuck with this mess. So I'm happy they're overhauling his design, though I would have liked, considering the fact that he hasn't gotten a skin in 3 years, probably 4 years almost now. I don't remember what. He hasn't gotten a skin in a very long time, let's put it at that. That I think it would have been the perfect opportunity to make a traditional Skarner skin for the VGU. Just make one where it's just, you know, a 750, 520 RP skin, doesn't matter, where it's just the old color scheme and it makes him look a bit crystalline. Just for the people who like that aesthetic, because there are people who like that aesthetic in his current color scheme opposed to the new one. You know, like they did with Thousand Pierce Bear. Just would have been nice. He hasn't got a lot of skins. Could have just done it, but they didn't do it. It makes me sad. And gameplay-wise, Skarner has had a very, very rough history in terms of League. I think we all know him now as that champion that is one of the most unpopular characters in the entire game. In fact, I think in that dev blog where they were talking about Skarner and his popularity, statistically, from every avenue, from gameplay to narrative to visuals, in every single avenue, he was statistically the most unpopular champion in the entire game. So he hasn't exactly had a big set of data for people to play with him. But the League Zoomers will not know that his problems date far back before his rework, because yes, Skarner was reworked before, back in 2014. Come over here, Yone. Back in 2014. Hi, Yone. Back in 2014 with the Juggernaut update. Because Skarner never used to have spires. That was added later on. Because back in the day when Skarner was released, he was launched still as the worst character in the entire game. No matter what people did, they couldn't get him to work. But the problem was that they kept buffing him over and over and over and over again. And usually from champions, you know, like Cassante today or Smolder as well, when they do this, eventually people learn how to play the champion and suddenly they're really good. That wasn't the case with Skarner. No matter how much they buffed him over and over and over again, he was still horrible. And that's because the thing that was holding him back, if I remember correctly, was his mana. He was so unbelievably mana hungry, he couldn't do anything. And so when Riot finally buffed his mana, instantly he became the best character in the entire game. And so they had to nerf him into the ground again. And then, lo and behold, the Juggernaut update of 2014 comes around and Skarner is changed pretty drastically. They add the Spires, which was meant to be a replacement of Dominion because they were replacing Dominion. They were basically trying to get rid of Dominion, so by adding them to Skarner's kit, they basically preserved that old aspect of League of Legends, which is sadly going to be gone now with the rework. But is anyone going to be sad about the Spires being gone? Like, I can't think of any other champion in the entire game where the opponent can just shut off your passive and gain money from doing so. It seems so absurd. It's a fun mini game to have these fast zoomy zones across the map, but the fact that Skarner basically can't function without them is what prevents him from being flexible. Playing Skarner top is a nightmare because you don't have a passive up there. And it sucks because in theory, it sounds really fun of him trying to claim back the crystal scar. His whole lore is of him trying to find his people, to find the other Hextech crystals, name stones, trying to find the other name stones. So he's trying to find them around all the map. I was hoping that would work actually, that he just, you know what, just die. Thank you. Thematically, I think it is absolutely fantastic, but it is a very frustrating mechanic to play around, because when Skarner is behind, it's already a pain to play a champion behind, but now the entire enemy team has full control over your jungle and the map, and now you don't have a passive anymore. And of course, like, mashing Q just isn't very fun. This very low damaging ability that you spam constantly, the W. It's just an inconsequential shield. Oh, man. And there you go. There, I have no passive over there anymore. Yippee! The ult is definitely the saving grace of Skarner for sure. The consistent point and click, grab an enemy and pull them over, which I will say, I really hope, I need to check the voice lines again, but the fact that the Scorpion champion has a move that grabs an opponent and drags them closer to him, and he doesn't say get over here. That is criminal. That is a crime. The fact that they gave it to Urgot, I guess that's fine because he's like a spider. But come on, you have the actual Scorpion champion. Like, you don't make the most obvious Mortal Kombat reference ever. For this of all, oh, Leona, you've made a mistake. Oh. Amumu, you've made a mistake. The main things of Skarner's identity have been the ult, primarily, and the fact that he's a very fast lad. Everything about him is about zooming around the map as fast as you can, grabbing people out of position. I don't know how that's going to be preserved in the old version. He seems, from the one game I've played, so take this with a pinch of salt, because I do need to play him more and experiment with more builds, but from the one game I played of new Skarner, he felt very slow and very clunky. And of course, current Skarner is very clunky too, but I've also played him a lot. Like, I have over 100,000 mastery points on this guy, so he doesn't feel clunky to me anymore. He feels, honestly, I kind of like Skarner's gameplay. I know that's heresy because most people don't like him, and I know it had to change. It's like Aurelion Sol, right? Like, I'm in the same boat the Aurelion Sol mains were, that there's plenty of people who want to like Skarner but cannot get behind his gameplay, and that's fine. You know, like, I've had Skarner for, what, 13 years, 14 years almost. I've had plenty of time to play this character, and the fact that I'm losing him, it sucks. Yeah, because I love this guy. And I originally, people who, it's become such a meme that it's like, yeah, oh, Naked Boy loves Skarner, or he voted for Skarner in the poll or whatever. I didn't do that. If you go back and watch the video on the poll, I never voted for Skarner. I voted for Nocturne because I didn't want them to change his gameplay so drastically. I kind of think we're at the point in League history where there are champions who don't need to be Galio level reworked anymore. So I would have preferred a Nocturne style in the same way they did with Udi or Fiddlesticks, where just kind of modernize them. I don't know how you would have done that for Skarner because the Spires are so integral to how this character works. And I'm glad they're keeping the ult, even if it looks, you know, half as useful as it is right now. I don't know. We'll see when we get more testing in, when they actually decide what, when they actually decide what ratios to give his abilities, because they keep giving him random scalings every day. I don't know what's going to be made to live servers or not. I'm hopeful it's going to be good, but I will miss my Scorpion lad. As clunky and as broken, as useless as he is, I have a soft spot for him. The thing I'm not looking forward to changing compared to the gameplay is the lore. Diddly Piltovens. I'm not looking forward to the lore changing because Skarner's current lore with the Brackern is actually really cool. And not just that, it's so central to a key piece of Runeterra. Like, it is insane that a champion this unpopular and this forgotten is the key to the success and ability for Piltover to thrive. Like, that region would not exist without the Brackern. So I can see why they'd want that to change, because they don't want such a niche champion to be such a central character piece. But I think the reason they more want to do it, because Piltover's use of souls to power their world raises a lot of questions. There's a big reason why there was such a big backlash when Seraphine first released, besides a number of other things that Seraphine did that was weird. But Skarner was one of those things. Oh, Skarner was one of those things because it kind of blatantly ignored, like, oh, well, Seraphine knows that the city's powered by souls and she's not going to do anything. What? Which is weird because in actuality, the fact that Skarner, the Brackern, communicate through song, it feels like a natural fit. Like, why wouldn't Seraphine be able to understand them completely and she be behind their cause? That would have been a really fun team up to have this horrible, you know, crystal monster team up with this very pretty girl. Like, it would have been a fun dynamic. Oh my god, the Elden Ring boss. Friends, come close. We shall slay this beast. I'm not doing any damage. Kill him, please. Fuck. I was 8-1 and I'm still useless. I can't do it. And I do like the new lore they're giving him as the guardian of Ishtal, as this ancient protector. But the nuance of the old story that raises the moral question of, like, are Piltover really the good guys? I think that was kind of a neat idea, especially, you know, it's a nice metaphor for how indigenous populations are treated. Riot doesn't want to tackle stuff like that, it seems, unfortunately. And also they don't want to make, it would make Jace's whole thing very questionable. Like, how'd you get these Hextech crystals, Jace? Where'd you get them from, buddy? You go out and kill some scorpions? So I don't know. I don't think they've revealed even what Hextech is anymore. Like, is it just going to be some vague magic crystal found in Noxus underground? I don't know. All we know is that the new Skarner is going to have nothing to do with Hextech. I think it will eventually be for the best that Arcane is canon. There are some champions that have much better origin stories there than in their League version, but it does muddy the water a bit with how Hextech works, and I imagine that's why they want to remove Hextech from Skarner, because they want to make Arcane canon. It would remove that whole moral question. Like, the good guys are using, like, their whole motive is to use hex tech to improve lives, but you improve lives by killing others, even though that's a cool moral question of, like, should we improve human lives by sacrificing these other lives? I don't know, but we don't want to tackle that because that requires thought and thinking. As for Skarner's skins, he doesn't have many. I mentioned this in the High Noon video, but Yone has gotten as many skins in the past 10 months as Skarner has gotten his entire lifetime. And I said 10 years. It's actually been 13 years. This man has so little skins to his name for how long he's been out. It's kind of absurd, which is why I'm so sad that the rework didn't just give him another new skin. And I hope he doesn't have to wait as long as Mundo did. Mundo didn't have a skin for about 3 or 4 years and then didn't get a skin until another 1.5 or 2 years after his rework. So I hope Skarner isn't treated the same. I really am hoping his rework is successful. I want nothing more than more people to love this Scorpion lad. I know Leona doesn't really love this Scorpion lad right now. You know, there's like the whole thing of like, oh, I'm a hipster, I like the unpopular stuff, but, you know, what do I gain out of my favorites being unpopular? Really. I get nothing. I would love if more people could enjoy Skarner or enjoy Kog'Maw or Cho'Gath, any others. Oh my goodness, any other of the fellas that I love, and I think deserve the time of day to be more popular because they do have some fun ideas if they were explored properly. But I think Skarner's skin, Skarner's skin before and after the rework is still obviously Battlecast. I do really like what they did with it. They removed a lot of the cartoonish features about it, which I really enjoyed. But the new Battlecast looks awesome and intimidating. I love, especially with the model in general, how big they made new Skarner. Makes him look actually kind of... Oh, Yone. That's my ADC you're threatening there. I don't think so. Oh. I'm probably going to end up playing a bit more Skarner before he gets reworked anyway. And, of course, place him on the PB because I have to make the video. I don't know when that video is going to come out, but... Oh, man. You know, I don't have much else left to say about this, about Skarner, because I do want to say it for the video, but man, can we all agree that this, like, Lethality Scion is so cringe now? This is all people do. They just run into the inhibitor and just win the game without fighting anybody. This is a normals game. Maybe if you're ranked, it's like a strategy to win, but in normals, dude, like, come on. It's so cringe. He's on my team. Come here, Yone, I gotta kill you one last time. Yes. Well, game seems to be over. Thank you, fellas, for joining me on this week's Casual Champion with the Skarner. Next time, we're finally doing Kai'Sa. I hate my life, and I hate Kai'Sa, so I'll see you in the next one. Okay? Goodbye, fellas.